You know that feeling when you scroll through a sea of fish finder transducers, every thumbnail promising crystal clear depth reading and a plug-and-play experience, only to end up with a device that either won't sync with your chart plotter or shows a noisy, jittery bottom that makes you question every cast? I've been there, and the worst part is the wasted money and the hours you lose trying to figure out if the problem is the gear or just your own expectations. That's why I'm breaking down the Lowrance 0001-356-0001 transducer before you click Add to Cart, so you can avoid the classic buyer's remorse. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the type of angler who actually needs a transducer like this. If you spend most of your weekend on a small lake, using a basic depth gauge on a modest bow-mount chart plotter, you're probably fine with a budget-friendly model that gives you a simple depth readout. The Lowrance unit, however, sits a notch higher. It's designed for people who are serious about pinpointing structure, identifying fish holding zones, and doing it reliably night after night. Think of someone who runs a mixed water boat, hops between a shallow river in the spring and a deeper offshore spot in the summer, and wants one piece of hardware that can handle both without a noticeable drop in clarity. One of the first practical strengths I noticed when I set it up on my 20-foot base boat was how straightforward the white glove service actually is. Lowrance offers a complimentary assistance call where they walk you through the mounting process, making sure the transducer aligns correctly with the hull. In real life, that means you spend less time fiddling with the mounting brackets and more time on the water, because a misaligned transducer can give you a distorted view of the bottom and waste a whole day's fishing. The service isn't just a sales gimmick, it's a genuine safety net for anyone who isn't a marine electrician. Now, let's get into the day-to-day performance that matters when you're out on the water. The transducer uses Lowrance's proprietary sonar technology, which, according to the company's 15-year track record as a premier solution provider, balances range and resolution better than many competitors in the same price class. In practice, that translates to a clean, stable image of the lakebed even when you're trolling at 7 knots. I tested it on a calm morning on Lake Winnipesaukee, and the bottom line stayed sharp, letting me see the exact contour of submerged structures without the grainy effect you sometimes see on cheaper units. That level of reliability is where the value really shows up. You're not constantly adjusting gain or switching modes just to get a usable picture. On the flip side, the unit isn't without hidden trade-offs. Because it's built to serve a wide range of depths, the default beam angle is a middle ground 60 degrees. That works fine for most freshwater scenarios, but if you're deepwater offshore fishing beyond 200 feet, you'll notice the coverage thins out compared to a narrow beam transducer that can lock onto a specific depth slice. In other words, you get decent performance across the board, but you sacrifice the pinpoint precision that a dedicated deepwater model would give you. If your primary fishing grounds are a deep lake or the continental shelf, you might end up needing an additional, more specialized transducer later, which adds cost. Another practical consideration is the power draw. The Lowrance transducer pulls a modest amount of power from the boat's battery, but on a smaller outboard setup, you'll want to keep an eye on that. In my own tests, after a full day of use with the lights on and the chart plotter running, the battery voltage dipped just enough to trigger a low voltage warning on the display. That's not a deal breaker, but it does mean you should either have a decent battery reserve or a separate power management system if you plan extended sessions. What about installation logistics? The unit ships new and, thanks to the same-day shipping option, you can have it in hand the same afternoon you place the order, assuming you request it. The mounting kit is designed for a variety of hull types, but you'll still need to drill a small hole for the through-hole mount. If you're uncomfortable with that, the white glove service can arrange a professional installation for a fee. For a DI-oriented fisherman, the fact that the hardware is included and the instructions are straightforward saves both time and money. However, if you're renting a boat or you don't want to alter the hull at all, this could be a stumbling block. Let's talk price in the context of the market. The Lowrance 0001-356-0001 is positioned as best value and performance in its class. While the exact dollar amount isn't listed here, it sits comfortably below the premium models from competitors like Garmin and Raymarine, yet it still carries the Lowrance brand cachet. In my experience, the sweet spot for a serious angler is a unit that offers reliable sonar imaging without forcing you into the